This is my third lap. Chassis only, right? So you know what you're looking at. It's a royal blue and it's tender. And they're going about 9 volts, 10 volts, pulling 1.2 amps, pulling 3 heavy weights in a mailbag car. Okay. I'm going to slow it down when I get here. There's 8 volts. Chuff, 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 chuff. You should get a good chuff sound at that rate. And it seems pretty reliable. It has all-wheel pickup, a DC magnet converted American Flyer open frame. But you wonder, does it have any poop? I guarantee you it has poop. It was burning steel because it didn't have a chassis. Oh yeah, a little out of balance in a few places. I got to work on that yet. Oh my goodness. This is the most fun. Now I don't have the smoke or the sounds. I wanted it, once I got it running again, I think something went caca right there. I don't know, we'll see if he can make it out. Oh, I see, the little trailing truck popped off. We'll see if he can make it around that way. I'll slow it down, give him a chance. The I didn't put the sound system back in. I did put the battery back in, and both the regulators are on there. I just didn't do the Wemos board. Oh, we're out. I got it. Ooh. Yeah, I knew that truck had popped off. That's because I wasn't watching very well. That's okay. We have a lot of good data. Shut it off. It's smooth. I want to tell you, it's smooth. Change of direction is pretty nice. It's almost like a submarine. It's like silent until it gets up to you. And that's pretty interesting. I'll just set it at 9, see what we get. There's the backwards. See what I mean? That's forwards. So the startup with these medium-sized magnets is very strong at the lower speeds, very instant. And that's what I like about it a lot. Right now, all you hear is the wheels rolling, basically. So if you had chuff and you want to do a steam whistle, you'd hear it. Oh, I see a loose wheel already. You know, I'm going to have to tear that chassis down again, Leon. Don't worry, I was at the store and I got my Loctite. That's pretty smooth. Got a little bump there. I'll check out what that is. I don't know if it's the engine or the track. The track's been pretty smooth. Yeah, it looks like it's okay. So, that's the video of the chassis with the motor control board. The motor control board that Andy and I put together. So it's a replacement of the Lionel 103. It's been updated, a lot of bigger parts. This is the rectifier, the power distribution panel. We're bringing in AC, convert it to DC, and then we send it out. This is the buck board for the Wemos. It takes track power down to 5 volts no matter what we send it. This is a buck boost board, and it takes track power, and it sets it at 9 volts and sends it to the smoke, regardless of what the transformer's set at. There's the smoke. That's a 3D printed smoke. The smart smoke controller, which you can tune the smoke. And this is, oh, did you see that? That's the magnetic fields that I've reused to replace the wire fields. But I'm using the same brushes, springs, and armature and brush holder. So it's an AC Gilbert design motor. I just changed the fields, okay? They're not wire-wound fields creating an electromagnet. They're permanent magnet fields. There's 2 magnets. There's an arc and a booster rectangle magnet. This is an infrared sensor board. The sensors are out here, and it's reading a stripe on a black gear. It's like an idler timing gear off of the smoke gear that's inside the armature. And then, of course, the drive wheels are all the standard chassis except for the blue paint. The Leon is going to have to do some touch-up on. This is not the chassis he'll be getting. This is a chassis for another engine. But I was using this because the plate for his engine, this is an insulation plate. It will go under everything I put on his engine because his chassis is solid brass. I have to have insulation. So I'm going to put about a 0.7 millimeter plastic sleeve or slip under it, and then I'll attach everything of the Next Gen S electronics to it. And that's the battery that powers the Wemos. Wemos fits down here. I just left it out because the Wemos and the speaker require special installation, and I didn't want to do any more disruption to the motor control until I got it on the track and ran it through its paces and got a really good feel for how is it doing. And it seems to be doing pretty good. Oh, I'm missing a car here or what? This is a Pikes Peak. Oh, I have 2 Pikes Peak, I guess. Okay. Anyway, so those are the heavyweights with the bags car. So I don't know what they weigh, but you can imagine they're not light. And that's with no mass, no bodies. So yeah, he has traction tires, but they are older that seem to be working. I mean, I can spin them, but you got to want to. I mean, you got to nail it to spin them. But the start-stop operations are very smooth. At low speeds, it's pretty silent. I got some wheel issues. I'm going to work on that. But in general, I'm feeling, a whole lot better. I had a bad wire. The wire was worn. I've been putting this thing off and on for weeks now, going through the sound system, and I just wasn't paying attention to those wires at the back of the motor controller, and they were getting frayed, and they were pulling out. So I was down to like 3 very thin wires, and they were overheating, and that caused the board to overheat. So that was what was going on there, because this board now is not even warm after operating a good 5 minutes back and forth, up and down, stop and start, stuff like that. So I'm feeling wonderful. The all-wheel drive pickups are working like a champ. At no time did that have an issue. I was bringing it back to hook up, and I didn't realize how I went to change directions, and I shoved the throttle too far forward, and it came roaring back and crashed. This coupler crashed into that coupler, and it has now bent something. So I'm going to have to go in there and do some surgery on that and make sure that gets squared away. I'm not sure I'm going to use this truck anyway, but it's okay. We have new trucks for Leon. What I'm testing here, yeah, it's Leon's chassis, is basically Leon's configuration, the configuration that he and I think will give him the best that he can get with the parts that we have. So I'm testing the configuration and the components that would be used. Now, I'm going to build a new motor controller. I'm going to build a new power distribution, but they're going to be basically the exact same configuration. That means the components and the wiring are going to be identical. There's going to be cleaner, slicker, more simplified setup, and these boards are the chosen boards. I have more brand new in a box. I'll be using those. Got batteries. All these components I have brand new. I might keep that smoke on just because it's working so well. I might change the lid just so I can get that lower profile piece on and bring this down a little bit. It's sticking up a little too much. This is working so well, I'm almost afraid to take it off. But I'm going to have to build 3 or 4 more because I've got 3 or 4 engines to build. I actually have 10 engines to build. Half of them are spoken for. So I'm getting down to where I need to quit R&D and and start operating and building. So this is the configuration for the next generation S as I see we can provide at what I call a level 1. So this is like the basic, everybody gets this. The only thing you could take away is if you had operating smoke on one of your engines and you wanted to retain the vintage smoke, I would put a smart smoke lid on an American Flyer smoke. And I've done that. You've seen it, okay? I would do that on a engine that you felt you liked your smoke, you wanted to keep it, okay, fine. We have the piston, the pin, the rod, everything. It smokes the same, chuffs the same, but we put on our smoke, and you can then option out of the Wemos because there's no need for the Wemos for the pulse. We won't have the digital chuff sound. You would have the mechanical chuff and puff. If you want that back in, then we can silence the chuff or we can try to time them together. It doesn't matter. So there's some option, but this is it. It's level 1, basic level 1. Pacifics, Atlantics. I'm thinking my 287 here, which is fairly original. I think it needs a... It could be one of those things that I set it up and I make a video and I go womb to tomb, you know, A to Z. Here's an engine like I had when I was an 8-year-old kid. It runs, but it stops in the middle of the track. It hops around. You know, it's the vintage stuff. So I could show you how it runs. I could take it apart, show you all the parts, take all the parts off, put all these parts in it in like a 3 or 4 day video. You know, you guys can see everything, every piece, what goes on. Okay, well, that's where we are. It's looking up. I think everybody should feel good. Oh, he's not even on the track. I said one wheel's off. Gotta watch out. I get in trouble with this. There we go. Isn't that nice? Nice and smooth. You know, I think the ball bearing in front does more than I realize. And I know the axle shafts in the tender are bronze bushings, and they're lubricated very lightly, but they spin real free too. Now he hopped. Did you see that hop? You know, I think he doesn't have the pilot in front. Yeah, he hopped off. He didn't have the pilot truck in front, and he doesn't have enough mass to stay on. And I might have a bump down there I need to check. There might be something down there I need to check. Okay, I'm getting called up for lunch. Late lunch today, but we did a lot of grocery stuff this morning. And I'm so glad I came down and just tidied the wiring up. I knew it was running off my rolling road over there. Oh, I'm sold out of rolling roads yesterday. I shipped out my very last one. Young man in Ohio or Indiana somewhere. And since it was the last one I had built, I signed the bottom of it. I think that was fun. He seemed to get a kick out of that. Frankentrain Labs 2022, Dennis. Okay, let this rest. Lunch is on the table. Bugging out. Later, gang.